right, this is a third in a series of conversations coming from the Unquiet Library about inquiry-driven participatory learning, and we're very honored to have with us today Ella and Cinda, who are going to be sharing their insights not only about the information literacy standards they feel that they've mastered over the course of this year and this last second semester, but they're also going to share their thoughts and reflections on their learning experiences and tell us a little bit about the unique design of their multi-genre transmedia project that they created into their inquiry on the impact of children, of war on children, families of veterans. So we'll start with our information literacy standards, and Ella, if you want to, we'll just kind of go left to right with as we did with the other groups. Tell us about the standards that you thought that you had mastered this semester.
Well, at the beginning of the year, when we first did our project for the first semester, I felt kind of independent, and I wanted to try to do things by myself as opposed to asking for help. And this semester, when I worked with Cinda, we realized that our project was a little more than we could handle by ourselves. So I feel like we really improved by seeking appropriate help when needed. And Miss Hamilton and Miss Lester were really helpful when it came to the technological aspects of the project, such as like how to work our Glogster or how to embed links and things that we just weren't aware of. That really helped a lot when we created our final project. And also, for me personally, again, I'm a kind of independent person, and the last semester I worked by myself on a project, and I kind of realized that it was a lot of work to handle by myself. And so I also kind of demonstrated teamwork by working productively with others this semester with Cinda, and it was really helpful because we could distribute the work evenly, and we could talk to each other about what needed to be done, and we could give each other
Constructive.
Yes, that's the word. Constructive criticism when it came to evaluating what we had put together.
And I think that was something that you and Cinda both really demonstrated well, that y'all really kind of played off each other and bounced ideas, a lot like Serena's group did, that y'all kind of developed that rapport and kind of that for relationship where it was a positive kind of a learning experience for you. Okay, great. And Cinda, tell us your standards that you thought that you mastered.
That was actually one of mine, was collaborating with others to broaden and deepen my understanding. And I felt like I am an independent person too, and it's oftentimes hard for me to work with others and feel comfortable with my final product and the whole process of the learning. And I felt that me and Ella working together actually was very beneficial to the project, and especially like going through our research that we found, by us sharing what we learned about by reading the resources, I got a better understanding of the details that were in the sources. And then my other one was using creative and artistic formats to express personal learning. And as you can see, we included 4 mediums. Our Glogster was kind of the dashboard for the links to the other sources, and we used PowerPoint for our first research question. For our second, we used VoiceThread, and for our third, we used Prezi. And our goal through using all of them was kind of to target all learning styles so that all readers could be helped by looking over our project. And our goal was just to use many different avenues to focus on all the learning styles. So.
And that was one thing that was kind of unique about your project, that we had some other multi-genre projects that incorporated some learning artifacts created with technology tools, as well as some traditional, like a 2-voice poem or art. But you all sort of did yours a little bit differently in that the Glogster, as you mentioned, was the dashboard or the hub where people literally could kind of move around almost like in a wheel to see your research questions, your Dear Reader letter that you have, kind of the statement of your topic, and then, as you so eloquently put, to experience in a lot of different mediums, the information that you synthesized from your research for each of your 3 big research questions with those multimedia tools. Thinking back to August, because this is kind of interesting to me, had either of you used Prezi or VoiceThread? Okay.
No. VoiceThread before, yes,
a little
but
bit.
we weren't as
skilled.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to remember, I know you had Mrs. Frost. Ella, were you in? Okay, so y'all had learned kind of the presentations in style, had some experience in that. What has that kind of been like for you, mastering some of these new content creation tools? What's that experience been like?
At the beginning of the year, we did a different project in the first semester. I think then I focused on a Prezi. We actually both did a Prezi at the beginning of the year. And the experience of navigating the website, it got difficult at times, but the second experience with Prezi was just a breeze, and I think it was fairly easy for the learning transition was very, very easy.
Yeah, it kind of just took some time to get used to everything and how to work everything, because the Prezi is kind of difficult, like she said, to navigate around because you have to scroll and stuff when you're building it, but it's easier when you actually finish it.
But I actually think that it makes like a very powerful statement. If you master the skills of the Prezi, it helps the reader to better understand your topic that you're trying to convey. So.
Okay. And I think, in listening to you kind of share that experience, it brings to my mind, I think, another skill that you both demonstrated was, persistence and being resilient, in the face of research or content creation challenges. And as some of the other groups mentioned, we delved into some new information sources this time, new ways of knowing and sharing. And I think that first semester was a learning curve, for folks. And I think for learners, who are independent, and you both certainly strive for excellence in all that you do, and that you're trying to do things, the right way, so to speak, to do the best you can do. Sometimes that's frustrating, kind of working through that learning curve where you feel a little bit, disoriented, and it's like, whoa, what's going on here? But you all definitely, have moved through that and been resilient. And I really saw this semester kind of you combining your powers, if you will, that you all kind of came up with kind of your original approach to the product and the way that you handle the research. And I think anybody that looks at your project will see, that investment of energy and time and passion, because this was a topic that clearly I can tell, in reading the sections I've seen already this week, it really spoke to you, which kind of goes to the idea, too, of engagement, with a topic that I think our first group talked about a little bit more.
Yes.
So another thing that kind of I wanted to ask you all about, with your growth this semester and with your project, thinking about some of the other learning tools and experiences, kind of some of the questions I asked our first group. What was that like for you, being able to have some choice in what you were creating and in the sources and in developing the research questions? Was that overwhelming, or was it kind of liberating, or somewhere in between?
Well, at first it kind of was overwhelming because we had to come up with everything by ourselves. But as soon as we got started, I think for Cinda and I both, we kind of realized that we had the ability to do whatever we wanted, pretty much. So it was kind of like we were creating our own, we did create our own project, but it was our own, and no one else had kind of come up with the ideas that we had come up with or the questions. So it was kind of original.
Yeah, it's definitely original, your topic and your approach.
We got we were able to show our creativity through the project, and I think that's really important, especially for high school students. We all want to be able to show our individuality and our creativity, and I thought that was just a really unique aspect of this kind of project, and being able to design it ourselves was that, our true personality could really come out and, hopefully help the readers better understand the topic through our perspective. So.
Well, another thing I've been thinking about, in advance of our conversation today, was the work that you all did both semesters, especially this semester with your preparation for Fishbowl. and thinking about your pre-search graphic organizers that you created and your mind maps, and it's very obvious again that you really pushed yourselves and kind of stretched to kind of push your thinking. Any thoughts or reflections on the value of either the pre-search part that we did with our graphic organizers and or the fishbowl and the mind mapping? Any thoughts on that?
I think that the pre-search part was very important because it allowed us to, I stated in one of my reflections about the project that I really did not know much about the topic at all before. I knew that it had to be hard for children to, live their lives without one of their parents at home. But, the pre-searching process really helped me get a better understanding and form those questions that I did have about the topic, and so I thought that was really important. And then being able to share them through the fishbowl discussions and to share, our kind of goal of the project, I think that's a very important part that we should include, that it was important. So.
Okay, that's good to know.
I felt like the mind maps were really beneficial when we first started, especially reading some of the books that we read, like All Quiet on the Western Front as a whole class, and because the mind maps, it was kind of like a reflection of what we had learned, and I liked discussing it with everyone else, like how I felt about the book, and learning everyone else's opinions on war. And because of some of our topics, they would branch off into different things, and I think that's where kind of the idea of families being affected, and then we narrowed it down to children being affected by war through the mind map and fishbowl discussions.
Okay. Well, I think you both have touched on sort of two important threads. One, kind of the power of learning with others, whether it's in a bigger group setting or again through choice and getting to choose kind of the research partner. But I think too the idea that just delving more deeply, being a more active learner who's a little bit more intentional with the choices, as opposed to, I think as Tegan said, just kind of sitting there going through the motions because that's what we do in school. Do you feel like because you've had sort of more agency or ownership or greater participation in, what your learning experiences have been this semester, is that something that's given you more confidence as a student this time, do you think? Or
Definitely. I feel like I have, like you said, more ownership of what I do, and especially in lit classes, I feel like I have more confidence when it comes to technological aspects of anything, or writing. I also learned a lot about that, and through this project and learning with other people, I was able to gain characteristics and of their opinions of other people, and they helped me form my own opinions about things. And like you said, confidence became a huge factor through this, and I think not only in lit classes but now in other classes I feel more confident and okay with having to work on the computer and doing different mediums and things, and I also feel like I could help other people who aren't as experienced as I am.
that's very helpful to know. And that's one of our goals, is to empower you in different ways where you feel like, whether it's through discussion or showing somebody a technology tool or a research skill, that again, we want you all to become the experts too, because it's kind of lonely being the only one. That's kind of, I think, our yardstick of growth, when you can show somebody else how to do these things. What about you, Cindy? What are your thoughts on that?
I think that my confidence has grown a lot since the beginning of the year. I think it's normal for a high school student, when they hear you're going to be working online using many different websites and sources, to get a little bit panicky. And that has actually disappeared. I'm actually very confident with working with computers and different websites and things. And again, I think I could help other people. And even though it's a couple years in the future, I think that this is going to help me a lot in college and at higher levels. And I'm going to be more advanced than many others because I got this experience. So
that's very helpful to know, and certainly. I've seen that too in your work, your confidence with the content creation, but with the databases too. You all really went pretty deep with that into the different information sources that you used. And again, thinking critically and deeply, and kind of again pushing that thought and taking advantage of learning socially with others. Well, just maybe sort of a final reflection question, then we're going to let you head on to Spanish. And we talked about with our first group kind of the experience that's sort of unique with this class, and that it's a pretty in-depth partnership with the library. And certainly we work with a lot of teachers here, but it's kind of for shorter segments. And the research is not necessarily kind of an ongoing part of the year-long learning experience. Sometimes it may have some depth, but it's kind of the once a semester sort of thing. And I know we've taught Ms. Lester's class with the new Common Core standards. It looks like each 9-week component now has some kind of research component to it. Doesn't necessarily be a huge one, but it's more infused. When you hear the word research now, how have your perceptions changed, if at all, when you hear that word, like your connotations or things that you associate? Like, how did you see research maybe before August? And have those perceptions changed at all this year, and if so, how?
Before, when I heard the word research, I would just think of Google, Google search, and it's not that easy. You can't just go to Google and type in and get reliable sources. And so I think I really strengthened in using databases, and I'm really confident about that. And now when I hear research, I don't get panicked. I just think that there's a whole bunch of databases and reliable sources that I can use. And again, I think I've really gotten confident in that area, and I was not before this year. So
cool.
When I heard research before this year, I would always think of a challenge, because most teachers do want more reliable sources, and I wasn't as experienced with being able to find those reliable sources. And through this year, being able to learn how to correctly navigate through all those databases, and just broadening my ability to be able to find key search terms and things that really helped me find the correct sources that I needed. And so, like Cinda, I feel really confident when I hear the word research, because I know what I'm doing now.
And you all certainly, as I mentioned earlier, you've shown such tremendous growth. I mean, you came in with a skill set, but you all really worked hard this year and kind of took that to the next level. Maybe one more final question. I thought that was the final one, but just kind of thinking out loud. And we kind of reflected a little bit on this in our post-discussion written reflections yesterday, but looking ahead, to next year, do you think that learning experiences like this, in which, we do things like fishbowl and mind mapping and a lot of that kind of critical thinking and giving you choices and kind of making research just kind of part of, what we do, either in a very informal way, maybe you need something from the mind map, or a bigger product like the one that you have created. Do you think that's something that might make school or some of your subject areas more interesting or more relevant? Because I think the idea of things being in the real world was a theme that we heard from some of our classmates in the last week. Kind of what are you thinking about that right now?
I think that it is very helpful to have, the librarian kind of working with the teacher as a pair. And working with online and getting more choices in our projects. I think that it's very important for students to be able to do that, because again, they get to show their creativity and things. And I not only think it's important for literature, but also some other subjects. This year, my social studies and my lit teacher kind of got paired doing the same kind of things, and it really helped my learning process and my understanding in that area. And I think if that was, if that happened more often, that things could be really interesting. And also with real life things, I think that it's helpful to be able to compare, what we're learning in class from the past, in this case wars, is very important for students learning, because we are living in present day, and it just makes things a lot more interesting to be able to pair the past and the future.
So more maybe interdisciplinary kind of approach, as well as connections between the things that you study that happen historically and the here and now, kind of pulling those threads a little bit. Okay, that's good to know. And how about you?
Yeah, I definitely feel like Having learned a lot about history in our literature class, it kind of broadened my understanding of the world because at the beginning of the year we read about apartheid in Africa, and I'd heard about the word, but I didn't really understand it that much, and honestly I really wasn't that concerned about it because it was in the past, but after learning so much about it, it kind of opened my eyes to the problems around the world, and because we learned about the past, the past always affects the future, and our future in this case. So also with the wars, I feel like Cinda said, if our history classes and our lit classes could come together more often, try to like broaden everyone's understandings about the present day war, because who knows how long that's going to go on, or who knows how many other wars we're going to have. And if everyone was knowledgeable about what was going on, things could be solved maybe more easily, or just better understood.
Absolutely.
Problems all around the world.
Absolutely. Well, I know, we're delighted that, over the last 100, almost 80 days, that you've had the opportunity to learn through learn through literature and nonfiction, and through your research and the sharing, our social learning, both as a pair, as well as with our classmates and our fishbowl, that has ultimately been an empowering kind of experience for you. And we hope that we'll have the opportunity to work with your junior and senior teachers and with you all, again, to kind of create similar experiences and to maybe take them, to a different level as we, really strive to move forward in making the library program here, the co-teacher or the partner with what's happening in the classrooms, or bringing the classrooms in to the bigger learning space, which seems to be kind of nice and comfortable for everybody. And we're very lucky to have a space that kind of lends itself both physically as well as our virtual spaces like our LibGuides to kind of have access. So we very much appreciate your time and your being willing to share. And if it's okay with you all, I'd like to link your portfolio page to our video a little bit later today so people can explore all the great work that you've done and learn from your experiences and hopefully kind of take that into their own lives. So thank you again for being so generous with your time and insights. Thank you.